Holy City Center Radio. It is episode 292, and I am your host, Christian Sanger. Today is Wednesday, September 11th, 2024. Welcome back to the show. Happy to be here. Sorry for a little bit of a break. Just been so busy and just have not had the time to get around to recording podcasts. So apologies, but you know what? Maybe you need a little break. 3 shows a week. Maybe you didn't mind some time to catch up. I know we all get behind on episodes, so maybe that helped out a little bit. But regardless, I'm happy to be here and glad that we have an interview for you today so that you can enjoy that. And before we jump into the interview, I usually don't talk about news or anything at the top anymore when it comes to interviews, just letting the interview, stand on its own. Sometimes it's just better anyway. Some people don't want to hear the news. They just want to jump and hear the good, fun stuff. And of course, it's good for the interviewees. They might not want to be associated with whatever crazy news is going on in South Carolina. But with today's date, obviously, I just have to, make a mention of it at the top. Of course, today being September 11th, we all know why this day, when you hear that, no matter how many years have passed, especially for those of us who were alive at the time of the 2001 terror attacks, this is a day that we all remember and just, make note of it. Remember what happened that day and all the lives we lost. Like I said, I'm sure I don't need to tell probably anybody listening the significance of that day and just how life-changing it was for really everyone who lives in this country and all the changes it led to in multiple facets of our life. So certainly a day of remembrance, specifically those that we lost. That's the most important part. So I just wanted to note it at the top. It just, again, I don't know how long it's going to be, but it just seems like for some of us, every time you hear that date, you're like, I feel like I need to mention something. If you're doing a show like this where there's news involved normally. So just wanted to note that at the top. But with that said, today is an interview episode, something that we can all just enjoy and relax. And we've got a good one for you. I have 2 guests today. They are co-owners of a business here in Charleston called Stick Fix. Yes, it does sound familiar to Stitch Fix. It took me a bit, I got to make sure I say this right. And obviously, it's a little bit of a play on that name. But no, this is called Stick Fix. You can visit the link in the show notes for more about the business. But it is co-owned by my guests today, Emily Munday and Jenny Waterhouse. This company offers mobile Botox, fillers, and other skincare treatments across the Charleston area. That's right. They can bring those services directly to you. Now, for those of you listening, you've never had Botox before or fillers or any of these types of skincare treatments. Particularly, I'm sure any men listening, perhaps you haven't, although that seems to be a growing trend where more men are getting these things done. And we do talk about that. Stick around and listen, because even if it's something like myself, I have not had those sort of treatments done. I don't know a ton about it, even though I have friends who get them done and have taught me a little bit about them. This is a great way to not only learn more about the business, but also about the 2 women behind it. They have a great story, and they talk about entrepreneurship and what it was like, leaving careers and not leaving their life, but altering the path that they were on to make a big change like that. And I always, no matter what the business is, whether I know a lot about it or not, it's always interesting to hear those stories as well. So we have a great time talking about the business and also just a little bit about them and the background and how this all came to be. So I hope you enjoy it. So without any further delay, here's the interview. And as promised, they're now the co-owners of Stick Fix. It's Emily Munday and Jenny Waterhouse. So excited to have you both on the show today. Thanks so much for joining me.
Thanks for having us, Christian. We're excited to be here.
Yeah.
Of course. This is a business I'm excited to learn more about. It's not something that's, in my wheelhouse, not just the basic idea, but also the other part of that, which is the concierge level to it. So I'm excited to learn what you guys do and everything involving the business and, your journey into entrepreneurship. But before we get into that, just so my listeners know a little bit about who you are individually and also, start to learn the differences between your voices as you speak, if you could, and whoever whoever wants to go first is fine. Just let us know a little bit about yourself, maybe where you're from, anything you feel is important about who you are or what listeners may be interested in.
Sure. Well, this is Emily, and I am originally from Florida. I moved to Charleston in 2006 for anesthesia school. Have been here ever since, and I'm a mom to 3 kids.
And I'm Jenny, and I am a nurse practitioner. I have my master's and doctorate from doing that. I grew up here in Charleston and went to Clemson University. Go Tigers. And I am a mom to 2, and that's that.
All right, very nice. So, we know a little bit about each of you, and now let's kind of dive into the company. I guess first, how did you all get to know each other? Were you friends for a while before this idea came into being, and then exactly how this company came to be?
Yeah, Jenny, you want me to kind of touch on
Yeah,
that?
take it away.
Okay, so we actually started kind of talking about this concept back in 2018. It didn't really come to fruition until 2021. But, it was something that had always been in the back of our minds, to kind of start something in this industry. We had a lot of people that were asking about us getting into injectables. And Jenny and I had been friends for a really, really long time. And we just kind of navigated towards the same interests, and Stick Fix was slowly born.
Very cool. And you mentioned injectables, and I mentioned it at the beginning of this episode before I was talking to you guys. But for those who need a reminder, we're talking about things like Botox, fillers, and other skincare type treatments. What sort of services do you all offer in addition to the things I just mentioned?
So we have neuromodulators, which are Botox, relax the muscles. We have filler, we have medical grade skincare and chemical peels, we have microneedling, and I said chemical peels, I think. So
You
that's
did,
all we've
yes.
got. Yes. Yeah. We're big into highlighting each person's individual beauty and maintaining their natural results to bring to light their features and have people at the end, look more enhanced, look like a younger version of themselves. We're not looking to change people's appearance. So we really hone in on what we've brought into this business and are staying focused on being able to offer those things.
And, people hearing this, they may say, oh, yeah, I know about businesses who offer similar services and what makes this business different? Now, I'm sure there's several different things, but one of the big things that makes y'all different than anything that's similar is that you'll actually bring your services to clients' homes or offices, correct?
Correct. So, a big thing in developing this business was the convenience aspect. As you heard, Emily and I are both busy moms, and we get, while men and women of all ages are our audience, the large majority is busy moms, juggling, trying to do it all. And as moms, we know that we put ourselves on the back burner, whether it be our mental well being, our spiritual well being, our physical well being. And so, that was something we really wanted to hone in on and bring this to the moms, whether that's showing up at their office if they're working or coming to their homes while their babies are napping. And COVID kind of solidified that for us, that business model that we chose. And it's really been something that's been incredible to see. We also have an office space for people who prefer to come out of the home or for services that we have that we would rather be in more clinical setting. But in going to people's homes, we find that it offers this level of intimacy that we don't get when we're in an office setting. It just feels, you're able to feel more close. Your relationship kind of gets on another level. The clients are just more relaxed and at ease, and you don't have to rush through anything. It just feels a lot more intimate. And it's been really special to have that aspect and see everybody's homes and their pets and their kids and everything else that goes along with it.
And you touched on everybody who's listening. They'll probably pick on something different that speaks to them, whether it's just the convenience or what have you. So for me, something convenient would be great to have someone come to my home for services. But as someone who gets a little anxious in doctor's offices or anything that's even remotely similar, or someone's injecting something, I'm okay with that aspect of it. But sometimes just being in the office can be a little nerve-wracking for me. So the idea that someone could come out to my home, yeah, it's going to be convenient for me. But like you said, I think it also leaves or lends itself to something where I'm going to feel more comfortable because I'm in my home or my office where I feel safe, and there's not other clients around or whatever it may be. I think that's an appealing thing to people as well, I'm sure.
Completely.
Absolutely, and it's certainly
Yes.
not necessarily. Oh, go ahead, Em.
No, you're good. I was just agreeing because, I mean, I can speak from personal experience. Sometimes you're in those waiting rooms and you really don't want to see a certain person knowing you're in that waiting room necessarily. So a lot of people really like that privacy of being in their own space on their own time.
That's true. I didn't think about that. Yeah, some people might not want others to know that they're there or whatever for
Right.
whatever reason. Just a privacy thing. No, that makes sense. That's a
Yeah,
great
it's
point.
great for the men. Great for the men too with the privacy.
Yeah, that's another, again, obviously I'm only going to be able to come at this from my own perspective. So for being a man who has not had any of these types of treatments, at least not like Botox or fillers and things, that's another thing that would make me maybe more likely, oh, yeah, maybe I'll try this out because they can come to my place and I can just
Mhm.
feel a little bit more comfortable with it. You mentioned before that a lot of your clients are women, which I think this area, this field customers tend to be mostly women, but I'm sure you see plenty of men as well. Is that demographic kind of shifting a little where more men are trying out these services?
I'll handle that one, Jenny. I think you're touching on a topic that is shifting for sure, especially in the Charleston area. We have a really, really wide range of clients, uh, and men are getting more comfortable with exploring this avenue. And sometimes it's just medical grade skincare, and sometimes, their wives are getting a little tox, and their wives are like, you know what, why don't you try it? And they try it and they're hooked, so it is just, it kind of lends itself to our concierge aspect of them being comfortable again and kind of taking that leap. So I think you're right. I think it is shifting.
And so, for people who are listening, what's the process like if they did want, obviously people are used to setting appointments online or calling to go into offices, but to have them come out to your home, I'm assuming it's fairly easy for them to do so. And, and I'm sure it depends on your schedule as well, but like how far out can people, how do they have to wait a long time for these services, or do you have usually enough time where they can get in within a few days?
It's usually a few days to a few weeks, depending upon your schedule and what times you need. We always tell people to message us if they don't see something that works, because sometimes it's as simple as moving another appointment to make something work. So certainly, we're not long wait lists. We're not super backed up. We find that a lot of people in this area tend to think of it last minute. So
Hmm.
we're busiest when you look at it a couple days out.
Yeah, that would make sense. That's kind of what I was wondering, is how people tend to set appointments for these types of things. And
Yeah, it's usually last
um,
minute.
yeah, well, that's Charleston for everything, of course.
Yes,
Um,
exactly.
so I think this could, these types of services can fall under different categories, but I think one is self-care. And why are these services related to self-care, and why is that important, do you believe?
Yeah, Jenny, you want me? I'll touch on that. So, really interesting. There was actually a huge research article, and I, of course, don't have it in front of me, but to reference, and they had associated neuromodulators with actually helping people be happier. So, and just speaking for myself as, a 43-year-old mom, um, I feel more rested. I feel more refreshed. I feel um, more myself when I have treatments. And so there's actually been research done on it and how important it is for self-care. And I always feel better with it. Your confidence is up. You do seem happier. If that makes sense. I don't know if Jenny, if you
Sure.
want to elaborate on that a little bit, but there is research behind it actually scientifically being proven that you can be happier.
Yeah, I mean, I'm glad you remembered that study, but yeah, mind over matter. Like when you feel good on the outside, you feel good on the inside. And when you feel good on the inside, you feel better on the outside. You just carry yourself more confidently. And that's what we're in this for. We're not in this to change the way somebody looks. That's really not why either of us got into this. I think if you look at your pictures, you can tell that we are on the more conservative side of aesthetic treatments. And I think that's the clients we attract. And it really is. It's about the mom who just had her baby and wants to get Botox and to do something for herself and feel better. And not that you need it to feel better, but for the people who choose to partake, it helps them just feel good.
Sure. No, that definitely makes sense. If there's something you want improved about yourself and then you're able to do it, obviously it's going to make you feel more confident. So that certainly makes sense. I'm sure a lot of people listening get that. And I also like how you mentioned, we're not trying to change anyone's, features of the way they look. I mean, obviously you're not performing, surgery, but these are still procedures where you can drastically, depending on, what we're talking about, change how someone looks. And I think some people who haven't had this work done before, I think they get worried about that. They've seen, I'm sure, like the celebrity or someone in town who maybe
Oh,
just
yeah.
went a little too far, and they're like, is that going to be me? So I think that's also helpful that people know, no, we're not trying to drastically change how you look. We're just trying to, focus on something that you want to change a little bit or just enhance a good feature of yours or whatever it may be. So I think that's really important for people to hear as well. Are you seeing a growing demand for, concierge services in Charleston when you guys are going out to people's homes? I'm sure they're gushing about, oh, this is so great that, I don't have to go to an appointment. And do they mention how there should be more services like that? Or is it, I don't know how much people are talking about other things, but do you see that there's more of a demand for other types of services like this?
Absolutely. I mean, if you think about it, you can get your groceries to your front door without going to
Mm-hmm.
the grocery store. I know there's somebody locally doing spray tans. You've got us. I know that you can get massage therapists into the home. I mean, I always say if somebody could figure out how to come do my nails at my house, I would actually get my nails done because it's not on my list of things to do when you have to sit for a couple hours somewhere. But yeah, clients absolutely love it. I would say by and large, more often than not, we're going to the client's home versus them coming to our office. And they're thrilled with it. They can pop on a meeting in the background. I didn't say that. Or, take their lunch break or what have you. We go to a lot of moms who the babies are napping, while we're there, or the kids may be running around in circles behind us. We see the full gamut, but I think people love that we come to them.
Now, on the other side of that, you mentioned you are sort of like your clients, you are busy, obviously. So is not having, obviously you have an office, you have like a home base and whatnot, but from your side of things, is it a little tough some days having to travel all around, or have you worked out a pretty good schedule where it's not adding more stress to your already busy lives?
Right, we're taking the hard part out for our clients and putting it on ourselves,
Right.
for sure. No, it's definitely something we thought of, in the long run, but I don't know how, but it truly somehow works where if I'm gonna be downtown, I get a bunch of clients downtown. Like, the
Okay.
spaces just work out. It's very rare that I'm driving from Johns Island to, deep North Mount Pleasant.
Mm.
Does it happen once in a blue moon? Sure, but it's not by and large, it's not typical. Most people are kind of centrally located. Um, so it's not as bad as it sounds like it could be.
And since we're, I think people like to, obviously they want to know about the business and what you offer and all that, which is, why we talk about it. But I think people are interested in the people behind the business as well, which is why I was asking that. But also, just curious because this is a newer type of business, anything with concierge services. So I'm just kind of curious what it's like on the back end. And I think other people are as well. And in that same vein, I think people, when I do interviews, they like to know what it's like for folks who, whatever they were doing prior to this, you both had, careers, what it's like to make that decision to jump to basically being an entrepreneur, starting your own business, how hectic, how
Mhm.
scary, what that process is like and how that journey has been for you. Because I think a lot of people here in Charleston that maybe they have a side hustle or there's something they've always thought about doing and they're always wondering what it takes to make that jump. So anything you could, I know I just kind of mentioned a lot of different avenues there, but
Yeah.
Anything about your journey through entrepreneurship, what it's been like for you, that you think would be beneficial to anybody listening who may be thinking of doing the same?
Yeah, I think first and foremost is having support around you. You know, in the beginning, Jenny and I are friends from step one, right? Um, that is important to us. And when we originally started with this concept, um, we needed a lot of support, and so we had a lot of mentors in the area. We are really lucky to be kind of part of, a Charleston community of supportive people. And so we asked questions. It took us months of questions. It took us tons and tons of phone calls to figure out what to do next or where to go next. And I know I can speak for myself that people will call me and ask, what do you do from this point? And to have that kind of support, I think, is huge. And we had that in the beginning in this area. So I think that's something that I really want to highlight is just the support and love that Jenny and I have been given as part of this community. But also, yeah, it's terrifying. It is a huge risk, and it's still terrifying years later,
Yeah,
owning a company and owning a business and coming off of COVID and being busy and being moms and trying to juggle it all. But, you have to be passionate about it. And if you love what you do, then you're going to be successful, right? If you have that heart in it,
Hmm.
it'll grow, and the community will support you in return. So I'm sure Jenny has more to say too on that, but that's kind of my touch on it.
No, I think you did great. It is scary. But I think the older I've gotten, the more I've realized that you just need to trust your gut. And if you've had this gut feeling about doing something, um, within reason,
yeah,
maybe just
right.
go for it, because you won't know otherwise. And the only way to fail is not by not trying, right? And the older I get too, the more I realize the risks you don't take are the ones that are regrets.
For sure.
Um, so going for it and knowing that you can figure it out, everything is figure outable.
Yeah, couldn't agree more. And I think one of the things you touched on that I've seen and heard from people who are successful in running their own businesses is that, like you said, it comes down to you're doing what you love. And when people can see that and sense that, and you've kind of touched on that a few times where you're going to people's houses and you say that feels a little bit more intimate and you both enjoy doing that and getting to know your clients. I think when people sense that you're being genuine and it's not just all right, well, how, just turn and burn, let's get this done so I can go home and enjoy my life, and
Right,
how
right.
much money can I make today? I think people pick up on that, and I think that really helps businesses be successful. That's been my experience, so I think for sure it seems like you guys are on the right path.
Well,
Well,
thank you.
thank
We
you. It
hope
hasn't
so.
been easy.
Yeah,
Yeah,
no,
every
I
day,
hear you.
so
To a
many decisions to make.
Yes. To a much lesser extent, I understand with the website and everything. It's a little bit different story, of course, but same
Right.
idea where you're just doing something and is this the time to make this big life changing decision or not? It can be
Mhm.
scary, but so I certainly understand and appreciate folks who are doing the same. So I think we've done a great job of learning about you guys as well as your business. One thing we haven't talked about is where can people learn more? So if they're interested in your services, where are the best places that they can find more information?
They can go to our website at www.stickfixcharleston.com, and that's stick, S-T-I-C-K, fix, F-I-X, charleston.com. And then we have we have Instagram, and our Instagram handle is stickfixchs.
Perfect. And we'll put both of those links in the show notes. So anyone who's listening, you can just easily click on over and follow or bookmark the website and see what Stick Fix is all about. Is there anything I didn't ask you that you think is important, or just anything else you want to get out there about the business that we just haven't gotten to?
Well, we'll actually be having a Self Care September event on Monday, September 23rd from 4 to 7 at the Hobcaw Yacht Club in Mount Pleasant. So we would love to obviously see our current clients, but we'd love to see and chat with anybody else who's interested in learning more about us.
Awesome. So what will happen at this event? They get a chance to meet you and learn more about the business?
Absolutely. Learn more, about our products. We'll be having some sales on the skincare as well as the peels, probably some deals with filler and some neurotoxin. So we're excited just to see everybody, and there will definitely be some fun things involved.
Awesome. And I'm sure the folks can find more information, especially as you get closer to the event on Instagram or the website, correct?
Absolutely.
For sure.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for joining me today. I learned a lot about you both as well as the business, and I'm sure those listening did as well. I really appreciate you all taking the time to chat today.
Thank you so much for having us.
Yeah, this was a lot of fun, Christian. I really appreciate it. Thank you.
And that'll do it for this edition of Holy City Center Radio. Thank you so much for listening. Thank you so much to Lindsay Marie Collins for producing this and every single episode of Holy City Center Radio. And a big thank you to Tyler Boone, whose music you hear in each and every episode. Of course, a big thank you to you. And of course, a big thank you to my guests, Emily Munday and Jenny Waterhouse, co-owners of Stick Fix. Visit the link in the show notes for more information. Looking forward to being back with you on Friday. If you enjoyed today's show, please go ahead and rate and review this podcast, like and subscribe. Whatever you can do on the platform you're listening on is a big help, and I greatly appreciate it. You can take that extra step and go to patreon.com/holycitycenter to help support the website and the podcast through that method as well. As I said, I'll be back with you on Friday. Already looking forward to it. But until then, good night and good luck.